Welcome to Leadership, Love and Laughter, where we dive into the unspoken truths in life and business. I'm Natalie Potts.
And I'm Victoria Dio.
Let's go!
Welcome to Leadership, Love and Laughter. My name is Victoria Dio and you are...
Natalie Potts.
What are we talking about today, Potts?
Imposter syndrome.
Do you get imposter syndrome?
No.
I think that's it then. I don't
End
either.
it.
Done.
Feeling like a fraud? Not really.
Okay.
I think maybe the more I lean into more challenging business opportunities and I was going to say adventures, but whatever you want to call them, and all those things, I can be in a space sometimes where I'm like, ooh, what does that entail? What does that look like? And I'm a little bit more challenging myself. But once I've again thought through that process and things, I'm like, just go for it. So I think I've got a very strong belief foundation, and I very much believe in myself. And I always call it like deluded belief sometimes. So I think that kind of eradicates, it's like you get, again, like you think like a scale, then it kind of takes it out in terms of if I do have any of those thoughts around that. But I don't think there's nothing I can't achieve or do if I put my mind to it, if I get the right people around me, if I really want it, then I don't have those doubts of feeling a fraud at something. But I think it's a topical conversation for a lot of people.
So, out of interest, because I'm sure that you have clients who have imposter syndrome.
Sure.
So how do you manage to guide them through that if you have never experienced that?
I've done my groundwork on it, like I said, about the belief part. So I'm looking at the foundations around self-esteem, confidence, and also having a lot of confidence myself. So I'm able to look at helping them gather the evidence and the experience to, again, create a new pattern of evidence for what they believe right now in terms of what they want and a path to that, and step by step. It's not an overnight process. So, and also having the empathy to understand that, I think some of that will come down to asking better questions of people as well. What are your thoughts? Do you have it?
I don't know if I call it that, but maybe I did. I used to feel like a fraud when I was in the corporate world. They were towards towards when I was told that wasn't my path. I started to feel, I was like, something's missing and somebody's going to find out that, because my journey had been so easy.
Yeah.
Within 9 months to a year of working, going into the corporate world, I went from 20 grand to multi 6 figures.
Yeah.
So my ascension was massive.
Yeah.
And it didn't dawn on me then, but it did dawn on me when I started to, I realized that something was missing. I didn't feel the fulfillment that a 6-figure salary should bring me with all the luxury and everything else. So I started to feel like a fraud, like, I'm going to get found out. And I didn't even know what the finding out would be. I've always been quietly confident about who I am and what I do, but also the work that I do as well has really helped. But I also believe that there are different elements of imposter syndrome.
Okay.
And I think that people see imposter syndrome as a shameful thing to experience.
Yeah.
As opposed to, again, it comes down to, oh my God, I can't be seen to have imposter syndrome because that means I'm not good enough, or that means I don't have authority.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I actually find that people who have an element of imposter syndrome, I think it's just in a way. Say, for example, if you're in a room of people who have achieved so much and you're still on your way to achieving that, I don't think there's anything wrong. And I'm not saying that I felt this, but I don't think there's anything wrong with going, wow, I'm at the table with X, Y, and Z. Just like I don't think there's anything wrong with experiencing nerves before getting
100%.
on stage.
I think you need to
before getting on stage. So I think we need to normalize imposter syndrome.
Yes.
And not make it, shameful for people to go, well, I don't have it,
Yeah.
as opposed to recognize, going, do you know what? Or maybe it's that we haven't been challenged enough to be in a space where we'd feel the imposter syndrome. So maybe we're too comfortable. Does that make sense?
I mean, like, I know that if there's times where I feel that I can't do something, I'm very open and confident to say that I don't know how to do it. It's not me, or I don't know. I'm very okay to do that part. And again,
that's different though to imposter syndrome. Yeah, but that's different to imposter syndrome. I'd argue, and stuff. Imposter syndrome is going, oh my God, how they've done this? How can I be on the same level as that person? Like it's almost thinking that you can't fit into somebody else's shoes. I think it's different to saying I can't do that, which everybody should be able to do, because we don't know everything.
Yeah, but I don't.
Well, don't.
People don't know, do they? They don't say I don't know that, or I can't do it, or it's just not my skills. They want to. Lots of people want to be the problem solver for everything. It's like, but that's not your gig. It's not your thing. Like, it's not your expert zone of genius as such. So.
But I think that's just unrealistic. I think that's maybe the personal development world putting it onto people, that I think there's that unrealistic perception that successful people can do it all.
Yeah. And I think there is that 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like somebody said about Gary Vee, so if you're in the corporate world and you don't know about Gary Vee is a social media guru who has done a lot of hard work and learned how to really nail the social media,
branding,
myth.
marketing, media,
the whole thing. But somebody said, he's successful, but what you don't realize is that he has a team that does everything for him. Like, there's people doing his videos, there's people that follow him around, there's people that edit the videos, the people that post on the socials. Like when he's telling you that you need to post on TikTok 20 times a day, he has got a team of people who are doing that.
He's very good at marketing.
Right. So yes, he's good, but also he's leveraged a lot of that. And some people are sat there in their little rooms on their own, trying to do the same as Gary Vee and experiencing burnout, which isn't.
I get it. So do you think they were kind of saying that you need to have it like, again, it's that part you said, it's not a bad thing, it's not a shameful thing, that we need to have more fraud, like feel that we're more of a fraud in some things?
I just think having a bit of imposter syndrome where you're going, oh my God, I'm at the table with all these incredible people, and be grateful for that, as opposed to being scared of it. Because here's the thing, you were brought to the table because somebody has seen something in you that they believe in. And whilst you're there to learn and listen and pay attention, they also see that there's something that nobody would invite you to the table if they didn't think there was anything that you could offer.
Yeah, of course.
Does that make sense? And I think it comes from that angle, rather than, because you could have all the confidence in the world, but if you don't think you've got something to offer, you're going to have imposter syndrome. So to me, it's like, acknowledge what you're bringing to the table. And if you can't acknowledge, ask the question. So one of my greatest questions at the moment is, well, what do you think I can bring to the table? Okay. What is it that you need from me that you're inviting me here? And they'll tell you.
So I'm going to do something. I'm going to look at... So I saw this on... I've been watching Grant Cardone.
She's been wearing her glasses every time she reads today.
And he was saying... He was talking about, like, how often do we just... And he was doing it live. He was like... He was like, somebody give me my phone, give me my phone. And then they gave him his phone. It defined the word management, which is around control and everything. He says, like, people just don't often do that part. So I'm going to define it. Let's have a look.
What, you're going to define it? Imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So it's a behavioural phenomenon described as self-doubt of intellect, skills, accomplishments among high-achieving individuals.
Exactly.
What they feel like is anxious, not experiencing success internally, despite being a high performer in external objective ways.
Yeah, exactly.
So do I feel self-doubt on things? I guess... What I was sharing earlier was part that, though, I guess in my education as well, though, through coaching background and then even in the business corporate world and such, is that I very much knew my strengths, what I was good at, and I leaned in more to those. And I was always angled towards that way through performance reviews and everything. Like, we start on the what you're great at, and we do more of that. And that emphasis with like this profiling I've done and do with clients is that we the whole emphasis is on what are you great at. Let's work on more of that, and your weaknesses you work on. So I guess that again, that perspective I have, an intention I have around one, my growth, but also how I adopt and see business. That's why I would say that I worry less about the stuff of like, do I self-doubt? Well, not really, because I just put this and this and this to it and I do it. Or I stay in the area of what I do. But yeah, I guess you're right though, because when you've got that level of challenge and you're doing areas to take you out of your comfort zone, or like we've spoken about before, where get around people where you feel the small fish and things like that, then you're going to feel out of your depth, and there is going to be a level of self-doubt, of course. So I think the ability to embrace that is really important. But then, like we've spoken about before, being able to go back and say, well, who can help me on this? What does that look like? What's that path? But also not always taking the awareness, not to always take the path of least resistance, one that is going to be challenging, and will bring some more maybe self-doubts on things, but to keep going with that.
100%. I mean, I've been looking at there's a lady called Nicole Walters, and she is an online entrepreneur. If I'm really honest, I don't know what she does, but she has a massive audience, and she wrote a book and everything else, and I think she got interviewed by Gail, Oprah's bestie.
Yeah.
But what's so funny is she had always, like, she used to post pictures on Instagram saying, Oprah's copying me again, because they always ended up wearing similar dresses or have similar hairstyles. And she was like, God, Gail, just so you know, Oprah's after me and stuff. Like, it was all tongue in cheek and stuff.
Yeah.
And then eventually she got to speak to Gail, and you could see the nervousness inside her and stuff. And while she completely knocked it out of the park, it's that whole thing of, I'm doing something that maybe I never thought I would do, or I've dreamt of doing, but I didn't know how really it was going to be until now. And I think sometimes it's okay to be in that space, to have that. I actually think it's less normal not to have it.
Yeah.
And I say that from someone who rarely has it. Like, if you ask me to tell you when was the last time, I'd be like, I don't know. Like,
I don't. Yeah.
I just get on and do it. But I think honoring that is better, because here's the thing. There are people that we know who have huge imposter syndrome, and they are knocking it out of the park.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, do you know what? And I go, do you know what? Fair play. Fair play, because there's obviously something in that where they're going, oh, I can't do this and I can't do that. And then they're doing it.
Yeah.
And it's like, whilst I may look confident towards you, and whilst it may boost my ego, actually, you're the one that's been challenging, and you're going further and further because you are leaning into that stuff. And whether I understand it has nothing to do with that. You're literally going for what you want.
Yeah.
Irrespective of the discomfort.
Yeah. And you do need a level of discomfort.
You do.
I guess
100%.
that maybe mine isn't imposter syndrome now, and it's in other things. So that's where that's that identification piece for me. It's not that it's necessarily like that just isn't my thing as such, but there's other areas of that. There's different pressures or expectations I hold on myself and things of not being good enough, or the idea of probably my default always comes back to a bit more around the element of fear of success is a big one, things like that. So I think it's the ability to, again, it's about seeing what it means. Like, that's why I've defined it. Like, what does it mean to you, and how's it holding a part in your life or playing a role, and what do you want that role to, what do you want it to be as well? And we take the time out to look at those things is important. But
do you think you're uncomfortable enough?
No, sometimes not.
Yeah, I'd say the same. I for some reason I do get elements of discomfort. Like, at the moment, I am in that space. Well, actually, no, I'm not. I think I'm maybe out of a 10, I'm probably like a 7. I think earlier on in the year, it was higher.
I think that I've like, if I'm really honest, I compare myself on that as well with some people where I look and think I'm more uncomfortable with them than them, because let's take a position from the stance that I still and always have done see myself financially independent, even though I live with someone now and things like that, and that was always a little bit my thing. It's like I see loads of people like giving it out there, like I'm working, I'm building my own thing, have my business, like, but you have somebody to take off that pressure of bringing the money in. And I think now I've got a bit of that. That's why again I want to funnel my almost attention to that. Like, I don't have that, and I am financially independent because that drives me a bit more. Because I've now got someone at home that we pay the bills and things like that together. It doesn't make me as uncomfortable. When I am uncomfortable, I probably have a little bit more kick fire in me, and I want that back a bit. But also, I'm at a different stage. My life and my experience and where I'm at isn't the same as where it was then as well. So it's comparing apples and whatever. I can't do that. So if I'm looking at sometimes people think that they've got a very comfortable life, therefore they can just go, oh, I'm just going to finish, been a busy week. And I'm like, you don't know, busy week. But, that's unfair and it's wrong for me to do. So I think, again, it's that awareness part and getting back into my own lane. I think that's what we're very always transparent about in this podcast, is that we're just not saying we're like by any means perfect or expert on anything. It's the conversation piece here of, and it's our highest state of awareness to go like, oh, like an exact example of that. The episode that's probably sat most with me since is the one about putting people on a pedestal. And since then I've been like, crap, like, do I do that? And like, where am I doing it there? And like, when I met Stephen Bartlett the other week, and I was like, I'm not putting him on a pedestal.
I'm not putting on a pedestal.
Because you were like, do you? And I was like, yeah, but it's interesting. And actually, what does it make me feel when I do that? Why do I do that? Like, what's the impact of doing that?
But I don't think it's a right and wrong.
There isn't.
I think, here's the thing, right? It's like,
although it annoys me that it annoys me.
I know.
It's one of those where it's like, why is it still sitting with me? What am I not working through here?
There is that. But remember as well that there's two of you.
Yeah.
Siblings.
Yeah.
So you don't have an elder sister.
No.
And
I'm the boss.
Right. And you have an elder brother. But it's very easy to lean onto someone else and go, you'll be my big sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want that. Like, we look to that, don't we?
Yeah.
It's like leadership. Listen, we're always looking to someone for that.
Yeah. You replace it. It's just like, somebody not having a dad.
Yeah.
And they'll be accused of having daddy issues, or someone not having a mum.
Sounds so wrong.
I know, but you know what I mean and stuff. It's like, it's just the human.
You got daddy issues.
Yeah, daddy issues. But it's all human nature, isn't it? And stuff. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's funny that it does bug you, but listen, I think
I like the fact that stuff bugs me though. I like the fact that really pissed me off the other week.
I think it's quite funny.
Where I was like the pedestal thing, and I was like, I'm not having that.
I think though, for me, the whole pedestal thing is giving away your power.
Yeah.
And I was talking to someone recently about, different bits of work, and I was like, just remember, and I think they're an only child or something. I was like, just remember that need to have authority in your space.
Yeah.
I push authority away. So, and again, that's not right. I'm just saying, to me, I don't need authority.
You wouldn't think that looking at what I do around you.
Yeah. I don't need authority. I need someone who can think on their brains and stuff. And I need to, it sounds like I'm there putting out a job advert then. But I need someone who can think on their brains. Think on their feet, not on their brain, but someone who can think on their feet. But no, I'm more like, I honor friendships more. And friendships, and with friendships I can learn better from. Than somebody who's up there. Because once they're up there and stuff, I'm just like, okay, what have we got in common? And if I can find that commonality, then we're friends, if that makes sense and stuff. And most people you will find
I think it's a little bit like, sometimes it's like the whole Jerry Maguire stuff, isn't it? It's like, it doesn't, like, it adds to my life, it complements, it doesn't fill a void.
No.
And that's, again, like you said, the friendships part, and that things like people, if people are looking to people in that way of the pedestal as such, going back to that one, but it doesn't do that for me. It's like I want people to make my life better, and that's the
Yeah.
same with all relationships.
Yeah,
It's like you're
100%.
not filling anything. You're not like
100%.
you're completing me. Like I am
No.
whole.
You complete. You complete.
Amazing film, but it is that it's the addition to, and that I think that's a real richness in life to have as well, in relationships and depth as well. Is key.
And do you know what? I like the fact that you've taken it to the whole relationship piece, because I think when we experience those elements of imposter syndrome, it prevents us from creating authentic relationships.
Yeah.
You know, because here's the thing: if I'm that person that you feel, I'm going to say it all wrong now, but if you feel imposed in my space, then you're never going to connect with me in a normal way.
Yeah.
Which means that I'm probably going to feel a kind of way around you energetically, which means that we'll never get to speak and have a
look, I see
conversation.
quite directly that we have a role, like we talk, it's called leadership, right? And we talk that we all have a responsibility around that to lead people. And therefore, for me, going back to when you asked me before, what's leadership mean to you, like, is to see the potential in others. And I have a duty to do that and a responsibility to. And it's whether you like the word empowering or whatever, but the ability to help somebody see the great in themselves as well, and the fact that they can do something, and empower them through something, and take them on that step by step through that imposter syndrome as well, is really important. So I do think there's a part in, again, a belief in others, and you do it really well. That's why the example I'm thinking about is when you responded to somebody on social media today about the fact they talked about their weight and visibility and on socials, and again, because you will look to see the good in somebody, and that's leadership coming right through, right? Is seeing that in somebody and helping them with their insecurities or that stage that they're at to move forward.
Yeah, it's also an element of resonance and also compassion, because you know, I am a big girl. But also, it's so funny, I chose the worst photograph to post. I chose the worst photograph to post just so not to be intimidating and stuff, because I was like, you don't want one where I'm like, that and stuff. I was like, let's not do that. So I had, like, in my opinion, and people were like, oh my God, you look amazing. You're like, thanks.
But I don't, I don't.
It was like, that was, I just left it. I was just like, thank you. But I mean, leadership shouldn't be to see people's discomfort.
No.
Whilst I want people to feel uncomfortable, I shouldn't take joy in people's discomfort.
No. It's a good, it's to help them.
Yeah, and the whole thing about, I love the fact that this person was honest. They posted anonymously, so we never knew who it was, which meant that it meant a lot to them.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And as someone who, I'm so lucky, like, I reckon there's like a 2 millimeter difference or shift that could have been me worried about how I looked and everything else versus the other, and I came out the other way. I came out the other way where, you know, I was always like, I don't want to be the girl who gets told what to wear. You know, I remember going into Evans 20 years ago or 30 years ago and going, what on earth is this? And thinking, no shop is ever going to determine how I dress. And I'm lucky that my mum loves clothes. So I've grown up in a household where fashion and beauty was a thing, you know what I mean? So I pride myself in it, and I want every other woman to do that. That's why my retreat is called Presence, because I want people to, and it's more than the dress as well. You know, it's like, I've seen women wear designer and still, you know, and well, you know, but my dresses, full disclosure, my dresses don't cost that much to make. Like, it's about the whole process, the love of the process, like you said before, the love of the process to actually get to that stage. And when you wear them, you feel great. You embody what you're wearing. Like, if somebody put this dress online and said, whose dress is this? Most people would know it's mine, even though they'd never seen me wear it before. It's that. And to me, leadership is about identifying the potential in people and lifting
Raising
them
them
up.
up.
Yeah, and not competing with them either and stuff.
Yeah.
And, but compassion comes into it as well. Like
Sure.
going to yourself, okay, I don't feel like that now, but how would I feel if I was there? And remember that you weren't always... Okay, I was a leader at 13, but we weren't always a leader. Do you know what I mean? We weren't always a leader in confidence. Like maybe at 13, I wouldn't have known I was a leader, but now I know I was treated as a leader, if that makes sense.
I think the core with that is that if you're in a place where you have imposter syndrome, or it's a heightened state for you, the more so than you want, for sure, it goes back to like the part of the anonymous. It's just surround yourself with people that will listen and get it and help you as well.
Yeah.
Take the small steps. It's small steps consistently with things like that, and building up that new evidence to change it for yourself as well.
Yeah, so coming here today, I was telling you about a woman who had a baby and was just not asking for help, and all sorts were happening to her buggy. Like at one point the child almost fell out. Like it wasn't good. And I said to her at the end, I was like, can you please ask for help? I was like, please ask for help. Don't do it on your own. And that's my message to everybody out there today. Is like, ask for help. Like, I'd rather you ask for help and get told no.
Yeah.
And dust yourself off and keep on asking for help until somebody says yes.
Yeah.
Because there'll always be somebody. And, one of the reasons why we created this podcast is that we can have a conversation with you. So write to us. Let us know, make comments. Go in the comments. And ask for our guidance, and we will reach out to you and stuff. But don't do this on your own.
No, 100%.
Anything else, Potts?
Love it.
There you go.
I love how love's a current theme for us all the time, isn't it?
I know, and it's effortless.
Yeah, but that's how it's supposed to be.
Exactly. I remember when we were naming this podcast and stuff, and we're like, what should we call it? I was like, love's got to be in it. I was like, I don't care what else is in it, but love's got to be in it. And you rolled your eyes.
Yeah, that's standard. Let's go with it. Do what she says. Easy life.
We'll see you later. Take care. Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you know someone who needs to hear this, please share it with them, and we would love you to subscribe. Remember, the insights shared only have value when you take action.